Taco Bell and I'm so excited, but I didn't even enter the video yet. So hey guys, my name is Grace. Today I'm gonna be doing a video all about my college transfer experience, Q&A, advice, how to know if you should do it. Literally every little detail you guys could want to know. I asked you guys for questions over on my Instagram, as well as I have some topics I know I want to cover because I have a transfer video up on my channel, which I'll put over here, but I uploaded it literally as like, it just hit the surface on everything and kind of told you guys what was happening, because literally that video was how tons of people, even in my personal life, found out I was leaving Ole Miss and going to Mizzou. So there's some context if you're new here and you found me from this video. My name is Grace. I originally went to the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, my freshman year and first semester, sophomore year, and then this spring semester I transferred. I'm currently an online student, half at community college, half at Mizzou, and in this fall I will be moving up to Columbia and going to Mizzou in person. I'm going to do an updated like transfer in person type video when that happens. This video is all about transferring from Ole Miss to my now online experience, because I feel like this is worthwhile to explain and like share for anybody who's considering this option, because I feel like a lot of people are right now. But also I will have a video this fall, so subscribe for that if you guys would be interested for a video about how it really is when I go in person and I move to a new college town and kind of restart and redo everything I've already done in some ways. So yes, all right, I'm gonna quick give you guys a food haul because we're doing this mukbang style because I wanna feel like we're hanging out. Comment down below if you guys are eating while you watch this video. We're kind of like hanging out, having some snacks together. I'm not even gonna be able to finish all this. I got so much food, but I just wanted to have like an assortment, you know. I'm gonna put it on here. Also, look how cute my car looks. If you guys haven't seen my car reno video yet, shameless plug. But yeah, we have so much to chat about today. I'm so excited. I got a taco with sour cream, so good. Chips and cheese. You guys have my chips. We love a good food haul. Well, we got 2 cheesy fiesta potatoes. I only ordered 1, but no complaints here. Y'all, I don't know if you knew this yet, but Taco Bell brought their potatoes back, and that's just the good news of 2021. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been waiting for this. I got nacho cheese, and I got a chicken quesadilla. So we are going to have a feast moment. I have all this food set out in this chair. We are gonna just mukbang and chat. So I'm gonna pull up all the topics I have to talk about on my phone to make sure I don't miss anything. And I'm actually gonna start my car, have a light AC. I'm sorry if there's like slight noise in the background, but if you guys have ever watched my mukbang Q&As, I swear I'm always like drenched in sweat when they're over. So it's like, girl, you're not running the mile. You're just eating Taco Bell. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna crack open my chips and cheese and we are going to discuss how to decide if it's right for you. This is something I wanted to start this video out with because at the spare chance this isn't someone from my channel who's been here before and you are somebody who is considering this and you need someone to talk to. Because I know when I started first thinking about transferring, I watched like every single video on YouTube ever to make me feel less alone. So here's one thing. If your college experience is not everything you dreamed of and everything you planned and you feel like you're failing younger you and you're failing your plans and you're failing the people around you, first off, you're not alone, and second, you're not a failure. It's okay for things not to work out. It's okay for things not to go to plan, and everything does happen for a reason. So you don't have to hate the time that formed you and led you to the decision that you don't want to be where you're at anymore. But I'm really, really proud of you for even considering. And you know, I heard this quote recently that was, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. And that's the thing. Like, if you want to change your school, you should be proud of yourself for analyzing where you weren't happy in life and what wasn't working for you in your life and changing it. Because for me, basically when I first decided that it was what I needed to do is when I started complaining about the situation I was in, and I was like, girl, I'm paying so much money to be at a school that I am not happy with anymore. And it's like, okay, well, if I'm not changing it, I was like, I either need to be happy where I'm at and decide that this is 100% the right place and I feel good with this decision that I made 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, or I need to change it. Because if I'm not gonna do anything about it, I'm gonna just choose to flourish here. I'm gonna choose that I'm going to like it and I'm gonna find the good parts. But for me, that wasn't the case. And it was, this is not where I'm growing anymore. This isn't where I want to stay for the next 2.5 years. And while it worked really well for me freshman year, and it was something that really gave senior me in high school hope to get out and get out of everything I was used to and go somewhere new, long term, it wasn't what was right for me. Really quick, guys, just a little shout out to myself. I had an Etsy shop where I sell these really cute tumblers. Look at me drinking water instead of soda. But to wrap up that topic of how to decide if it's right for you, because I kind of just shared my experience. One, maybe make a list of like, why are you feeling the way you're feeling? Is it situational? Does it have to do with the school you're going to in the area you're living? Are you not happy with something in your life in general that's pushing you to not want to be there? which I do want to say, I think literally any reason to want to transfer is valid, and it doesn't, like, whether it has to do with the school or not, doesn't mean that moving won't be the best choice for you, but just like really evaluate how you're feeling the way you're feeling and if moving could help you at all. And here's the thing, guys, there's no shame in transferring. So I think number one thing is realizing that if you aren't happy where you are, change it. Like I was talking about before, like you don't have, life is way too short to be somewhere you don't want to be. Honestly, I could go on this topic for forever, but if you guys want to like DM, talk in the DMs about the transferring and deciding if you want to do it or not, because I know it's hard because you feel kind of alone because you don't want to talk to everyone about it. I know for me, I don't love talking about something that I don't know is going to happen, or I don't know if I'm going to do it. I just don't want to be a complainy person, like a wishy-washy person. So I keep a lot of those things to myself instead of like talking to people in my real life about it. I'm better at talking to the internet about it, honestly. But if you guys need someone to talk to, I'm here because I understand, and it's a very scary, frustrating, and it's an experience that's like, why can't I just be happy where I'm at? And you kind of feel like something's wrong with you, that you're not having this 5-star amazing experience, that you're seeing everybody else so happy where they're at and you're just not. But it's okay, and I'm right there with you, and I went through that. So you guys, my Instagram DMs are always open. Okay, let's get my quesadilla out. I think I'm ready to have a little something else. I forgot my fork for my potatoes, so I might just have to be a caveman and eat that with my hands. I haven't had a Taco Bell quesadilla in forever. If you guys haven't had, the Chipotle new quesadillas are so good. The chicken one, phenomenal. Highly recommend if you guys are Chipotle fans, but Taco Bell always slaps. Okay, next we are talking how I started the process and how I got things moving, because I feel like the #1 comment I got from people in my life was like, whoa, that happened fast. Like I told my roommates really quick after I started considering it, and I told my parents. I pretty much called my parents and almost realized while I was talking to them that I needed change. I needed to do something different. I kind of was just on the phone with my mom, and I all of a sudden like just kind of word vomited that I was like, I don't want to stay here. I don't want to keep doing this. There's no point to keep doing this. I don't see myself thriving here for the next 4 years. I don't see myself wanting to pay to be here online this spring, because I knew pretty much whatever I did this spring would be mostly online. So that's kind of how I made the decision. It kind of just like came over me, and then I realized I wasn't happy, and I kind of just was existing there. And then like the day the word vomit came out of me that I didn't want to be there anymore, the first thing I did was I went to a coffee shop and I looked up my options. First things first is give yourself options and figure out what those are, because you don't want to just like sandwich yourself into like, okay, I'm not going to this school anymore, so I'm going to go to my other state school, or I'm going to do this one set thing. Like give yourself options, because I did not all think I was going to go to Mizzou, which is where I am going currently, and I'm going to go in person this coming fall. Literally when I was asked by people in my life if I was going to apply to Mizzou, because it is like the big SEC in-state school where I live in Missouri. I live in like the St. Louis area. I was like, no way. Like it wasn't even on my list or radar for a hot minute. So give yourself a list and really look into anything, and don't count anything as like not an option until you like really look into it, which it is very time consuming. I'm going to tell you that right now. Transferring is not a quick, easy process, and if it was easy, everyone who had like one sad day would do it. It takes so much time. So the process of me really getting it going, basically, like I said, I went to the coffee shop that day. I made a list of all my options. If you guys were watching my vlogs at the time, like I was considering van life, I was considering everything, but I knew I wanted to continue my education. I've always wanted to graduate college, especially because I started. I personally don't like think everyone has to go to college, but like especially my fall semester at Ole Miss, I took out loans. So for me, because I did that my fall freshman year, it's like I need to get a college education to make that worth it. And also all the money that I paid and put into school since then, like I want it to be worth it. I want to graduate. So it never for me was like I'm dropping out of school. It was just like, okay, what can I do? Like, what's the next step? So I basically, like I said, I made a list of all the lifestyle options I could do. I was like, I could move to New York and do an internship and do online school. I could do online school and live at home till college is done. I could live in a van. I could move to a campus. Literally moving to an actual college town, again, was like last on my list at the time. I really was not happy where I was at the time, and I was like, I don't really want anything similar to this. That's what I ended up choosing. So like I said, keep your options open. Okay, and then basically just to tell you guys what the start process, the last little thing before it really got moving, is I applied to a few schools. If you guys have watched my videos about like applying to college, I only applied to one college as a high school senior, and that was Ole Miss. So it was really new to me to have to do all the different steps, because Ole Miss's application was really easy. I think I applied to 3 schools. I applied to Missouri State, Mizzou, and I applied to I don't really know. It's like that online school that there's always commercials for. Comment down below if you know what I'm talking about. I forget what it's called, like New Hampshire Online. I don't really know. I forget exactly. Southern New Hampshire. I don't know. But basically I applied to 3 schools, I think. Last thing to note with that process was basically after I applied, it did take longer than I expected to hear back if I got into the schools. The only school I wasn't like 100% sure on was Mizzou. I was like, Missouri State's a pretty like similar academic level, I would say, to Ole Miss. But I didn't really know how the Mizzou process would work because I knew I met the GPA requirements, but I also just didn't know because in high school, I didn't exactly know where I would have stood with Mizzou, which I'm pretty sure, like, I met all the requirements. I was just on the lower end. Like, I wasn't far above what they needed, if that makes sense. Now, as a transfer, they have, like, a lot lower requirements. But still, I was just nervous. I don't know. I think at that point, I started thinking, well, maybe Mizzou could be an option because Mizzou was going to be the one, if I decided to ever move back on a campus and I decided to do like the college experience again, I was going to choose Mizzou out of all the places. I wanted to stay in state. And if you guys don't know what Missouri State is, it's in a small town, kind of like Oxford. And from my experience at Ole Miss, just know that like a small town isn't really my thing and I don't thrive in that setting and it's just not for me. So I was like, okay, Mizzou is closer to bigger things and could be a place if I went in person. And then the last thing before I get into the Instagram questions, I'm also going to open up my taco, is what the process was like, which I was just kind of talking. I kind of went a little further than the starting process of that, but basically my decision. So a lot of it did have to do with like the state of the world and how everything was kind of online everywhere when it first started happening and I first was making this choice. So I was like, well, I was really leaning towards Missouri State because I was thinking I'm either going to live in a van or I'm going to live at home and I'm just going to do online school. So I was like, I'm going to do the cheapest option. The cheapest option was Missouri State. But after I realized Mizzou got back to me last about getting in, and I basically both had like a transfer equivalency thing. So when you guys transfer, you're going to send over your transcript, which has all the classes you've taken, and then you're going to get a transfer equivalency report for whatever schools, or at least all the schools I did this. So I knew off the bat before I actually enrolled in the school what would count and like how far I would be. So I was pretty set on Missouri State until I found out that I was going to be about a year to like almost a year behind academically because my classes just like all counted as gen eds and like none of them counted as what they did. And it's like, oh my gosh, I did not take these like super hard classes for them all to count as like my extra classes, you know what I'm saying? But Mizzou, everything, I'm pretty sure literally they took all of my credits, and that's the moment that I was like, okay, it's not gonna cost more to go to Mizzou because if I go to Missouri State, I'm gonna be in school way longer than 4 years, at least 5, and that's if I like stay on top of everything and I don't like go a little slower. So that's when I was like, okay, it's not gonna be more expensive. So I really looked into Mizzou, what their majors were, and I also was like, maybe I'll go in person. And then basically I went up, I think, and stayed with my sister around this time, or I just started like looking online at apartments and stuff, and people were talking about like football games coming back this fall and like the real college experience coming back. And that's kind of when I realized, and I talked to my parents, and it came over me that, which is not to discourage you guys from online school. I think online school is a great option. I'm personally really happy in online school right now. I'm not like pushing the college experience idea on you guys because it's not everything it seems a lot of the time, but I realized if I want to live in a van, if I want to live at home and I want to grind on my business and focus on all those goals, I can do that at any age. But the only time I'm going to like live in a college town and be a 20-year-old and get that experience, I can only do that right now. Like I could go back to school as an adult, but you know, you're not gonna like go do all the stupid college stuff, which at the time can sometimes get annoying, but it's like I just kind of realized I was rushing my life away, if this makes sense. And it was like, okay, I can live in a van, I can do all these things after school, but why not give it one more shot and see if the college experience could be for me, if I could find happiness in it, and if I did it a little differently, if I'd feel a little better about it. So kind of just decided, YOLO, I'm only going to be 20 in a college town once, I might as well do it again. Immediately started looking for apartments, and it all kind of happened from there, which I have like an apartment hunting series, and that's when I realized like, okay, for sure I want to be here, I want to live here. And just that, you know, I want to be a 20-year-old who lives in a college town surrounded by 20-year-olds. Like, I want to try that again and see if it's for me. It wasn't for me at Ole Miss anymore, but it doesn't mean that it can't be for me anywhere. You know, everywhere has such a different vibe, it can be so different, and there's different people everywhere you go, so it's kind of that. All right, we're gonna get into the questions you guys asked on my Instagram. I hope that was all clear. It's really complicated and really a lot. So comment down below if you have any questions, because I will answer like anything specific too. Sorry if you guys can hear the air. I'm going to literally use my chips as a fork for these cheesy potatoes. Have you guys seen these before? They're so good. I used to always get them in high school. here I am using this as a fork. Let's see if this works. Tragic. Amazing. Let's do it pretty rapid because those videos have been pretty long, but some of you guys might have skipped to this point because you didn't want to know like all the details. Like maybe you're not personally a college transfer, but you're interested in my experience and everything. So first off, did you have any issues with your college credits transferring? So like I said, this was a big determiner in where I was gonna go, and I'm really, really thankful for how it happened, how it did, because I do think that going to Mizzou in person is where I'm meant to be, and I really feel like a calling and like urge towards that now. But originally, what really opened my eyes to Mizzou was realizing that my credits transferred there and they didn't transfer to that same level anywhere else. Missouri State, like I said, I'd be like a year behind. On the other school I transferred, I'd be like a semester behind. And at Mizzou, I was going to be right with everyone else. I could literally, if I wanted to, I think I could technically like if I took like a few summer classes, I could graduate early. I personally don't have the like urge to graduate early, so I'm gonna graduate on time. But I really wanted to have the option to graduate on time, especially just because like I wouldn't want to be like one semester behind and have to sign a lease somewhere for like an extra year, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like where I stood with that. And yeah. The next question is, are you moving to the dorms next year? I am gonna talk like dorm advice and like basic college freshman year things. I'm gonna do a whole video on that because I feel like, let me move you guys are like behind the wheel. But I feel like a lot of you guys are probably in that position right now because I know seniors are trying to figure things out. But for me personally, my journey, I'm gonna go to Mizzou for the first time and live off campus. For me, it just makes sense. I'm gonna be a junior, so although it'll be my first time at that school and I'm gonna be trying to meet people, basically I'm just gonna kind of have to go out of my own way to meet people because I really have the urge to live alone for the first time ever. I've never lived alone, if you guys didn't know. You guys probably don't because you asked how I'm gonna live in the dorms. I'm living in an apartment by myself and I'm really excited. I'm gonna make a bunch of videos about living alone, like as 20 years old as a girl, and I'm very excited for that experience. And I've never really existed completely by myself. Like freshman year, I moved dorms and ended up living alone part of the year, but you're still like in a hallway with a bunch of girls and you share a bathroom and like there's always people outside your door. And it's not really like completely living alone, so I'm so excited to experience it, and I feel like I'm gonna learn a lot from it. The next question was, did you switch courses and insight on what I'm studying? What I'm studying is communications. Sorry, I read that weird. So communications is basically like I could do PR work, social media work. You can do tons of things, but for me it's probably gonna be like a PR or social media type move. And did I switch courses? My classes I have to take are a lot different from what I was gonna be taking at Ole Miss, because at Ole Miss I was a communications and like marketing major situation with a business minor, so it was a lot different. But my courses I'm taking seem like they're gonna actually be pretty interesting. I just started an 8-week class with my first like major specific class at Mizzou. I'm really excited about it. I'm really enjoying it so far, and it actually seems like stuff I'm really interested in, so I'm very excited about that. What do I think Mizzou offers socially that Ole Miss didn't? Okay, first off I want to say everyone's experience is different. Like your social experience like can literally be different anywhere, and like nobody's gonna like share the same feelings about this. But for me, when I went to Ole Miss, I was really excited to be there and be the only person that I knew. Like nobody know me not know anybody, just like a fresh page to turn. And while it was really nice and I feel like I learned a lot, sometimes it was lonely in the aspect that like everything with not everyone, but so many people was so surface level, which you can't blame them for. Like I'd mostly be hanging out with people by like going to parties, and it also was, like I said, like we hadn't known each other our entire lives. Like I went to high school with people I knew since like first grade, so it was like all pretty deep friendships with the people that I was friends with. So that aspect at Ole Miss I didn't expect to miss, but something that for me I'm looking forward to socially at Mizzou is one, having people there that I've known my entire life. Like that's very comforting to me. Like sometimes it just can be very lonely when you feel like nobody really deeply understands you and sees where you're coming from, because they don't know your family, they don't know your whole past, they don't know everything. Like I said, there's like good and bad to that, but I'm really excited to have people living by me. I know my sister's gonna live by me. My like best friend since like 5th grade is gonna be at my school with me, and that's just gonna be a lot different. So for me, that socially is something I'm looking forward to, which I didn't have before. Also, just like bumping into people that you know, they're friends. You know what I mean? Like when you like meet someone and you're like, you don't know them, but you're like, oh, we both have like this mutual. When you move to a new out-of-state school, like for me, Ole Miss, I did not know anybody, so there was no such thing as that like mutual conversation. Like it was, I feel like it was a little harder because it's like you literally like don't really have anything connecting you. Like say I'm from St. Louis, someone's from California, we don't know any of the same people, we don't have the same, you know what I'm saying? It's just different. They don't know like your background and stuff, so there's like positives and negatives to that. But at this point in my life, I do see the luckiness, I guess you would call it, in having people around you who like really know you and have known you like your whole life. Did all your credits transfer? Okay, this question was kind of already answered, but has it been easy making friends as a transfer? I'm gonna answer that second question this fall because I haven't made like many like new Mizzou friends yet. It's just people that like I'm talking to that like I already knew that went there. But we'll see how that goes this fall when I'm in the process of making new friends. That should be interesting. But right now I don't know because I am living 2 hours from Mizzou. I'm at home and literally doing everything online and doing Zoom classes. But I'll update you guys on that in my fall video. And did my credits transfer? I kind of already talked about that. But to the school I'm going to, yes, I'm on track to graduate on time. Woo, and none of my almost classes that were so expensive were wasted. So we stand that. How did I adjust? Is it a good idea? Pros and cons. I feel like this question could go on forever and I don't want to talk like forever because I already have been. But one, how have I adjusted? So I'm just going to talk about my experience transferring to the online, not like, obviously like it's a very different thing going from like a big Southern SEC school to like literally working in an office and doing a Zoom class. But adjusting to online school has been really good for me. I've really enjoyed it, and I love that I have so much time to work on like my personal business and my personal goals, because I'm kind of like taking these like 5 months that I'm home just like completely, like, it sounds really cheesy, but like grind. Like I just want to like work really hard at my passions and goals and see where I can get with that, because I'm not doing additional internships. I'm not walking to class every day. Like, you have a lot more time on your hands with online school, at least in my experience. So I've really enjoyed that, and honestly, I've adjusted really well. Now we'll see how I adjust this fall when I'm going from online to in person. I feel like that's gonna be a little harder of an adjustment because like I literally don't see people barely ever. And so to go from like that to like seeing people constantly, I'm excited, and I'm excited to be around like people my actual age again besides like my parents, but it will be really weird. Is it a good idea? I personally, for me, it was 100% the right thing. It was a really good idea, and I'm really proud of myself for going for it and not just letting myself get stuck, because sometimes it's easy to just be comfortable with where you are instead of realizing that something else could make you happier and something else could be more right for you than where you are. So for me, it was a good idea. I can't answer this for you, but I think that in my opinion, if you're questioning if where you're at is where you want to stay, you might as well look into your options if you weren't. That's just my advice though, my personal opinion. Pros and cons. Pros of transferring is I get a fresh start somewhere new. For me, I have a chance at really being happy where I am when I wasn't completely before. I have much cheaper school, which also depends like your transfer experience, but like for me, I'm gonna be saving thousands and thousands of dollars, which will be really nice. And honestly, like the pros list just is so long for me. The only cons is like if Ole Miss goes all back in person this fall, and like maybe in like an alternate life or universe I could have found happiness there and found my core group and found my people there and like really thrived. But for me, that's obviously that's not what was meant to be, because I'm not there anymore and there's no chance of that happening now. So I don't know. I don't really like to think about like the alternate situation. I'm just really content with where I am and ready to find joy where I'm at now. But pros and cons list would be different for everybody. A cons list could definitely be if you can't find a school where your credits transfer to, because you work really hard to get those, you pay a lot of money to get those. But for me, since everything transferred, like there wasn't really a ton of cons at all. Really the scariest thing was just like telling everybody in my life, and everybody probably thinking I was like a chaotic mess, and I feel like a lot of people called me a mess, and it's kind of like whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta live for yourself, you can't live for anybody else, and like you know your truth, you know where you're at, you know where you're coming from, and you don't have to explain, you don't owe that to anybody, you know, you gotta start living for yourself and what makes you happy. That's my opinion though. But, and then the last question is really random, but I feel like I asked this a few times, is it bad to transfer colleges? No, and I feel like if there is any like thought around this, again, you have to make yourself happy. Nobody else's thoughts of you are going to be with you in 4 years, but what you decide to do about your college experience in your life and where you live is going to affect you forever. So you just have to make your decisions for you, and it could turn out good or it could turn out bad. But again, you can't just stay stuck where you are because it's comfortable when you know that there's something else out there that you are feeling pulled towards. So there's that. I'm about to run out of card storage, card storage, because I've been talking for 12 years. Okay guys, so that is all for today's little transfer video. If you guys have like any just general college questions, not about being a transfer, not about any of that, like specifically about online or specifically just about college in general, comment down below. And I'll be doing like more little polls on Instagram to ask questions, like sticker tags, because I am going to be doing more college videos because like those are super helpful, and I want to be that person that makes you feel not alone. If you're getting scared for college, it's upcoming, or also if, like this video specifically, if you're thinking of transferring. I know for me, having other YouTubers that I watched that had gone through this or were going through this didn't make me feel like such a mess, didn't make me feel so crazy, and didn't make me feel like I was being irrational. It made me realize I was making like an educated choice for myself, that I was like putting work towards and figuring out the best path for myself. I wasn't just waking up a morning and like acting crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like sometimes it can be like, what am I doing? But having people around you who are going through it, and sometimes it's hard to find those in real life, so we find them on the internet. And I'm glad that you guys are here and we can be friends. So I'll see you lovely sunflowers though in my next video, and just know you are so loved and so many good things are coming no matter what situation you're currently in.